You never expected a massive psychic whirlwind to steal the spotlight from a certain bald-headed punch machine, did you? That is exactly the kind of electrifying shift fans are bracing for, as One Punch Man ramps up toward its astonishing third season. Today we are diving headlong into a saga that merges humor, overwhelming power, deep personal histories, and monumental confrontation. How did this series manage to stay so dominant in the global anime scene? And more importantly, why is the so-called second hero, best known as Tatsumaki, threatening to outshine the unstoppable Saitama himself? In this comprehensive unveiling, we will dissect everything from fresh story arcs and hidden motivations to the strong emotional currents that carry these characters to new and uncharted heights. By the end, you might just find yourself re-evaluating which hero truly stands at the summit of the One Punch Man universe. Buckle up, because our first big question is simple yet provocative. Has the wait for new One Punch Man content been so long that expectations will be impossible to match? This show originally dazzled the fandom years ago, setting an almost mythic standard for comedic battles mixed with existential reflection. Now, with the reveal that the upcoming third season is poised to land in October 2025, the entire anime world seems to be lighting up with excitement. Reunions with beloved heroes are in sight, fiercely anticipated arcs are on the horizon, and new villains threaten to shatter the status quo. But behind the hype, there looms a more personal story about how each character evolves in the crucible of monstrous battles and near-apocalyptic events. And we want to understand precisely what that means for the green-haired psychic tornado who calls herself the number 2 hero. In this deep dive, we will explore 3 fundamental threads. First, the staggering tension swirling around the Monster Association's emergence. Next, the psychologically rich and sometimes harrowing backstories that inform Tatsumaki's steely personality and unstoppable telekinetic abilities. Finally, the unstoppable wave of speculation over how Saitama, the hardest-hitting hero in all existence, will navigate a storyline that by all accounts leaves no participant unscarred. We will see how these pieces tie together as the countdown to October 2025 ticks away. Tatsumaki, also known by her flamboyant moniker Terrible Tornado, is more than just a side phenomenon in One Punch Man. She is, after all, a star in her own right, a hero whose unstoppable psychic force defines a crucial pillar of the show's mythology. For many viewers, she is the embodiment of unstoppable confidence, borderline arrogance, and tremendous talent. But there is so much more to unravel beneath those sharp eyes and swirling emerald locks. In the upcoming season, hints and visuals have already indicted that she will stand center stage in the most sprawling narrative the anime has tackled so far. While the baldest hero in the business, Saitama, has earned a worshipful following for his comedic deadpan and unstoppable fists, Tatsumaki's involvement in the conflicts ahead looks to catapult her and possibly overshadow even Saitama's saga. But hold on, how does a single hero, no matter how gifted, compete with the unstoppable comedic juggernaut that is Saitama? The show has teased a possible confrontation for ages, and dedicated fans have scoured the original manga for any sign of who truly stands at the apex of destructive potential. As we will see in the sweeping war pitting the Hero Association against the dreaded Monster Association, raw power is not the only thing that determines the victor. The animation arcs in this new season promise to deliver a cascade of moral dilemmas and personal stakes rarely glimpsed in the storyline so far. By the time the final credits roll on One Punch Man Season 3, the strongest hero might not just be the one who can punch the hardest. Before we pin all our hopes on this unstoppable telekinetic, let us remind ourselves of the broader context. The Monster Association has surged out of the shadows, orchestrating seemingly random chaos as it kidnaps the son of an influential donor. The best heroes are called upon to infiltrate a labyrinth of monstrous hideouts. Fears rise that the core of the city could be reduced to rubble in the oncoming conflict. And that is where Tatsumaki does not simply enter the stage, she practically rips it in half. Her abilities bend the physical world in ways most watchers can scarcely imagine, and the unrestrained intensity of her psychic gifts has been teased to push well beyond their known limits. Rumors swirl that the arc in question, often referred to in the manga as the Monster Association arc, will revolve around a kaleidoscope of showdowns, heartbreak, and revelations. For years, fans have pored over every shred of promotional material, every single line of dialogue, to guess how the battles might be animated. But early peeks and official statements suggest that the creative team is taking the adaptation to unprecedented cinematic territory. The visuals we have glimpsed betray an ambition that might overshadow prior seasons, introducing new angles on everything from citywide destruction to intimate character flashbacks, especially Tatsumaki's. And it is her story that just might be the spine of this entire season. For those new to the fandom, Tatsumaki stands as the so-called second hero for a reason. Her telekinesis is rumored to be powerful enough to level entire cities with minimal effort. Her suspiciously youthful appearance belies an internal exhaustion that has come from years of treating giant monsters, catastrophic alien invasions, and even fellow heroes like trifling inconveniences. She stands alone, both physically and emotionally, preferring to rely on her psychic might rather than trusting individuals she deems incompetent. Her relationship with her younger sister, Fubuki, often underscores her complexities. Instead of the typical tender warmth one might expect, we find rigid expectations and attempts at controlling that bond. And that tension also bleeds into her dynamic with the number one hero, Blast, if you count Saitama as hero for fun on a separate tier altogether. Now, you might guess that these details only scratch the surface, and you would be absolutely correct. The flashpoints in Tatsumaki's upcoming storyline will revolve around unstoppable psychic battles, personal sacrifices, and revelations about the origin of her powers. The psychological swirl of her relationship with Fubuki has the potential to add emotional depth to a series best known for comedic brilliance and explosive brawls. With all that potential intensity, we can scarcely imagine how Season 3 will handle it all. Yet, here is the kicker. Saitama, the comedic anchor of the whole show, is not exactly stepping aside. He too has an enormous stake in the war with the Monster Association, and fans know that once he sets his mind to smashing a foe, no force in the known cosmos has been able to halt him. The question is, will Tatsumaki's telekinetic storms overshadow that comedic, unstoppable punch? If this sounds intriguing so far, consider giving a little thumbs up to let us know you are enjoying these swirling winds of speculation. Heroes thrive on applause, and watchers of this unstoppable narrative thrive on the excitement of unraveling deeper layers. There is a reason why One Punch Man soared to popularity, capturing the hearts of millions across the globe. The comedic premise, a hero so powerful he droops into a surreal boredom, funneled us into a world where each supporting character has become an integral puzzle piece. But here is the essential point. In the upcoming season, there are no mere supporting characters. The new story positions everyone, Tatsumaki, Fubuki, Janos, Garou, and even lesser-known S-rank heroes, within the swirling tapestry of an apocalyptic confrontation. Let us peel back the layers a bit more on this notion of a tapestry. Although One Punch Man shot to prominence on the comedic premise of Saitama's invincibility, the truly dedicated fans quickly realize something deeper is at play. Beneath the punchlines and brazen exaggerations, the story grapples with themes of heroism under pressure, public adoration, personal jealousy, and the existential ennui that can arise when your main character cannot be defeated. Tatsumaki's arc stands defiantly in the center of those swirling energies. How do you remain passionately driven to save humanity when you are overshadowed by a short-tempered psychic who can bend entire cities with her mind? Or, conversely, by a hero who can flatten enemies with a single punch? Everyone in this show competes for recognition, not necessarily to appease their own egos, but to confirm their existence in a world that constantly discards the unremarkable. And no one embodies that sense of competition quite like Tatsumaki does. As glimpsed in short teaser trailers, Tatsumaki's primary battles in the forthcoming storyline will strip away her guarded sense of bravado. The creators appear to be zeroing in on her vulnerabilities, from old traumas linked to her involvement with the Hero Association's experimental programs to her sense of responsibility for Fubuki's safety. This might be the detail that breaks open the entire narrative, because it pushes Tatsumaki beyond the familiar territory of just being an unstoppable force. She adopts a caretaker role, albeit one tinged with her usual brash approach. And in that caretaker role, she bumps up against a monstrous threat that even the bravest heroes dread. Yes, the Monster Association is not some ragtag group of random villains. This is an organization that methodically orchestrates chaos in such a way that the entire city, the entire notion of heroism, might come crashing down. We are potentially talking about life and death stakes for multiple S-rank heroes. Scenes teased in the key visuals show entire structures uprooted from the ground, swirling with psychic force. One moment, there could be a comedic outburst as Saitama tries to locate his slippers among the wreckage. The next, entire skyscrapers are splitting in two. That radical shift in tone is precisely what sets One Punch Man apart. The whiplash from comedic brilliance to cosmic-level destruction. But even powerhouse heroes can fall short if they lack synergy and trust. The Hero Association is famous, or perhaps infamous, for its labyrinthine bureaucracy and contradictory judgments. Tatsumaki's background is riddled with friction toward that very structure, a friction that only escalates as she becomes more indispensable. Many fans speculate that a major source of tension in this third season will be her clash with the association's leadership, who might attempt to reel in her destructive impulses, especially if she threatens to do more harm than good. Yet controlling Tatsumaki is easier said than done. We have already seen that she holds no hesitation in speaking her mind or unleashing catastrophic telekinesis when a situation calls for it. Her dynamic with Saitama, on the other hand, remains a question mark. Will the comedic rivalry intensify, or will they be forced to team up in ways we have never seen before? The hype swirling around this possibility is enormous. Fans recall that comedic spark whenever Saitama must face her mercurial temperament. In the midst of an apocalyptic showdown, that spark might become a full-blown inferno. On the other side of the spotlight, we also have Guru, the self-proclaimed hero hunter. He thrives on challenging formidable opponents to prove a point about the fragility of what society deems heroic or villainous. Where does Tatsumaki stand in relation to this self-styled monstrous rival? All signs point to an explosive confrontation that underscores exactly how terrifying her powers can become when fully unleashed. This entire dynamic only raises the show's emotional stakes. Sure, we have known for ages that Saitama can punch a meteor in half or swat a dragon-level threat without breaking a sweat. But does that unstoppable strength matter when armies of foot soldiers, twisted experiments, and monstrous generals spread out through an entire city, swallowing block after block? In such a scenario, every hero from the top rank to the bottom rung has a role to play, and fans get an up-close view of what these terrifying times do to each psyche. Even comedic sidekicks are not immune. Fear, desperation, hope, these are the swirling storm fronts that ground One Punch Man's comedic absurdity in a potent emotional reality. To comprehend just how vital Tatsumaki's presence is, we must remember that she has been teased for the better part of 2 entire anime seasons now. In the earliest episodes, she was more of a cameo with a snarky attitude. We have since learned how she perceives the rest of the hero community. They cannot keep pace with her lethal skill set, so why even bother coddling them? The question becomes, does she know how to rely on others if push comes to shove? Some watchers believe we will see her forced to collaborate with S-rank contemporaries in a way that will test her sense of independence. Others think she might finally see Saitama's unstoppable capability as a genuine threat to her pride. Either route could culminate in seismic, city-rending showdowns worthy of the hype. Therein lies the secret sauce of Season 3. The clash between unstoppable comedic hero and unstoppable psychic force cannot help but lead to drama and spectacle. The tension simmers in the background, and given the extended break leading up to this new season, it has built into a near frenzy. People are hungry for something that can top the epic scale of prior arcs. And if the Monster Association storyline follows the trajectory laid out by the manga, we are barreling toward one of the most visually jaw-dropping sequences in modern anime. Set piece after set piece has the potential to outdo the last, culminating in an all-out war so massive that entire underground layers and city blocks could be lost in the crossfire. Now, let us pivot a bit. How do these cataclysmic events feed into the comedic foundation that made One Punch Man such a global success? Strangely enough, the bigger and darker the conflict, the more comedic potential arises when Saitama shrugs away seemingly unbeatable foes. Yet, comedic relief might not be as frequent this time around. Many suspect we will see deeper pockets of seriousness as our heroes are truly tested, overshadowing the comedic asides. Tatsumaki will likely prove a linchpin for this shift because her comedic moments often involve berating fellow heroes or launching sarcastic barbs. If she finds herself overwhelmed, imagine the tone that might unfold. We are used to seeing her remain supremely confident, but letting that mask slip reveals the mortal side of a powerhouse who is not as emotionless as she pretends. No wonder the anime community is vibrating with excitement for the forthcoming panel at Anime Expo in 2025, where more details, like the core staff, possible changes to the adaptation, and maybe an exclusive trailer, are expected to be unveiled. The series setting has already teased how the arcs might be structured, but until we see official announcements, speculation remains a big part of the fandom's enjoyment. Will the show commit to a one-to-one adaptation of the Monster Association storyline, or might we see expansions and creative detours that dive deeper into Tatsumaki's backstory? The possibilities expand with each cryptic social media post from the official production team. If all this talk of telekinesis, unstoppable fists, and monstrous organizations is igniting your curiosity, why not subscribe to stay tapped into future explorations of this colossal storyline? It is like reserving a front row seat for the next wave of revelations. After all, the third season of One Punch Man is going to be a landmark, not just for crunchy, action-packed animation, but for how it shapes our perception of heroism and power. Sometimes, the biggest punch is not about the raw physical blow, but the psychological weight behind it, something we suspect will become abundantly clear as Tatsumaki flexes abilities that put entire armies to shame. Beyond the sweeping battles, we must not ignore the quieter, character-driven subplots. Tatsumaki's relationship with Fubuki may anchor emotional arcs that carry significant weight through what might otherwise be an unrelenting series of monstrous fights. If rumors prove true, we should expect flashback sequences detailing how both sisters discovered their psychic gifts and ended up on drastically different paths. Imagine discovering that Tatsumaki's need for control stems from more than just typical arrogance. It might be rooted in a desperate desire to protect the only family she has from a cruel world that sees psychic abilities as tools to be exploited. That sense of tragedy, combined with her unwavering desire to push everyone away, could show us a vulnerable side of Terrible Tornado that few have seen until now. Then there is Blast, the elusive #1 hero who hovers like a phantom in the background of the story. His appearances have been so fleeting that fans question whether he is myth, legend, or something else entirely. Tatsumaki's personal connection to Blast remains shrouded in partial reveals and cryptic hints. Now is the perfect time for the animation staff to pull back the curtain. How does the top hero feel about the unstoppable telekinetic woman who is near, but not quite at, his level? And how did that dynamic shape Tatsumaki's worldview? We might learn that her stubbornness and her top-tier ranking come not just from innate talent, but from a relationship with a hero whose own powers defy classification. The tension weaving through these relationships elevates One Punch Man into more than just a comedic brawl fest. Sure, you have your punishing battles with crab monsters, alien overlords, or subterranean giants, but the show's heart pulses with a set of themes that revolve around external labels: hero, monster, outcast, and how easily those labels can shift. From the beginning, Saitama was the comedic anchor, unbelievably strong, bored, searching for a spark that could reignite his excitement. Meanwhile, Tatsumaki wields a lonely brand of power, always wary that any slip in control might lead to unimaginable destruction or even the loss of loved ones. This difference in perspective might become a focal point for conflict, comedy, or some extraordinary combination of both. For those who read the manga, certain arcs remain burned into memory. The dramatic standoff between Garu and the heroes, the infiltration of the monster hideout, and the epic collisions that seem to pit unstoppable forces against immovable objects. We have only begun to see glimpses of how carefully the anime might portray these crucial moments. Each is brimming with potential for character growth, especially for Tatsumaki, whose sense of self might be irreversibly changed by the end of this war. Does she learn to trust others more? Does the ever-peripheral Saitama become a true ally, or merely continue to exasperate her with his nonchalant attitude? Let us not forget the comedic underpinnings that the show is famous for. As cityscapes collapse and monstrous threats pile up, there is always room for a random comedic spark. Perhaps a miscommunication leads to Tatsumaki hurling Saitama across the sky in frustration. Maybe Genos, ever the eager disciple of Saitama, tries to measure Tatsumaki's psychokinetic powers with comedic seriousness, only to have data tablets and electronic circuits short-circuit from an overload. These comedic asides, woven into the backdrop of apocalyptic tension, keep the spirit of One Punch Man intact. The creators have consistently excelled at balancing near-slapstick humor with unbelievably large-scale battles, forming a dynamic that has rarely been replicated in other anime properties. Yet, the real question is whether the show can maintain that balance when it delves into the darker, more introspective corners of the story. The Monster Association arc is widely considered the largest scale event One Punch Man has offered yet, with consequences that permeate the entire world. We will watch heroes dropping out from exhaustion or injuries. We will see monstrous transformations that tip the boundary between hero and villain. And we will behold the unstoppable might of Tatsumaki, tested in ways that surpass even her earlier feats. Riding on the wave of that unstoppable telekinetic fury could be the best comedic material we have ever seen from Saitama. The mismatch between his outward ennui and the ever-escalating stakes is comedic gold, as he might be more worried about whether he left groceries in the fridge than the fact that the city is crumbling around him. That essential comedic mismatch is part of why watchers continue to be enthralled year after year. We want to see the unstoppable psychic collide with the unstoppable punch, but we also relish the comedic fallout of that collision. Going deeper, this storyline might also illustrate the show's satirical edge. One Punch Man has always been a wry commentary on sensational media, hero worship, and bureaucracy run amok. The Hero Association, while necessary, is hardly saints in suits. Funds can be mismanaged, favoritism can be displayed, and questionable alliances can form behind closed doors. Tatsumaki, with her no-nonsense attitude, could finally lift the veil on these shady dealings. She is not one to tolerate meddling superiors who lack the will or strength to face monstrous threats. If that means forcibly rearranging the Hero Association's base with her powers, so be it. The comedic potential is overshadowed only by the tension of clashing with the very people entrusted to keep humanity safe. We can guess that the emotional high watermark will come in a vortex of swirling debris, half-destroyed buildings, and internal revelations. In that context, fans cannot help but wonder, will Saitama deliver another unstoppable punch at the exact moment Tatsumaki unleashes her ultimate telekinetic technique? Will the show embrace the comedic tradition of undercutting the drama with a well-placed comedic jab, or will we witness a finale that tries on a heavier tone? All signs suggest that the creative team behind Season 3 is unafraid of big swings. Animation test footage rumored to exist behind closed doors indicates a visual style blending Fluid's fight choreography with comedic timing that leaves fans cackling and then gasping in the same heartbeat. The best scripts in anime reveal their secrets slowly, layering comedic asides and adrenaline-charged battles with heartbreak and personal epiphanies. That is exactly what One Punch Man has teased with its new Tatsumaki-centric storyline, culminating in October 2025. The only thing left is for fans to hold on tight. The hype train is speeding along, and each new tidbit, key visuals of Tatsumaki in her swirling psychic aura, or the short teaser that reveals glimpses of the monstrous infiltration, sustains the momentum. What truly sets this upcoming season apart is the synergy between comedic whimsy and gut-wrenching threat. The comedic star Saitama has always overshadowed others, yet Tatsumaki's unstoppable presence commands attention in a way that might finally match his comedic might. The real payoffs might come from how these two distinct energies collide and spark under the tension of a city under siege. Heroes battle monsters, but they also battle themselves, their own pride, jealousy, insecurities, and illusions. Already, speculation floods social media about whether the unstoppable comedic power of Saitama might overshadow Tatsumaki's meticulously choreographed psychic havoc. Or perhaps, ironically enough, Tatsumaki, the number 2 hero, will become the heart of the show, upending the comedic hierarchy altogether. In any case, the wait is almost over. The unstoppable whirlwind of One Punch Man Season 3 is about to toss old assumptions into disarray. The only sure thing is that watchers are in for a roller coaster ride of comedic brilliance, punch-fueled demolition, mind-bending telekinesis, and emotional revelations. Are you ready to see the unstoppable might of Terrible Tornado face off against the unstoppable comedic hero? The countdown has begun, and the stage is set. Keep watching, stay hyped, and brace yourself, because we are about to witness a confrontation on a scale that might leave even the bravest heroes reeling in shock.